You're listening to the Super League Pod, coming up on episode 169 of your favourite Rugby League podcast. It's our 2018 preview and prediction show. We'll be looking at every team competing in this season's exciting 2018 Super League tournament. Strap yourselves in, kids. It's time for your favourite Rugby League podcast, Super League Pod. Okay, hello everyone.
Hello.
Welcome to episode 169 of the Super League Pod, our 2018 season preview.
Yeah, all the predictions, all that good stuff.
Yep, it's been a while.
Month.
It's been a month.
Probably the latest we've ever started a year.
I know, but we're doing it after a World Cup, aren't we? So it's...
we've needed an off-season.
Needed some sort of off-season. Before we get into the structure of this show and go over things for listeners new and old in terms of how the predictions show will work, we should probably address what the elephant in our room is at the minute and talk about my involvement with
we have a big announcement.
Pod. Yes, this will be my final Super League Pod. I've made the decision that I'm not able to commit to it in the way that I would have liked over the first three series, and wasn't really doing myself a tremendous amount of justice last year. And with the way things have gone personally and professionally for me over the last 12 months, I've decided that it would be better for me not to be...
Basically, you feel like you've got a better life anymore, so you don't need me to give you this outlet.
I don't want to generalise that way, Mark, but things have been going well. But yeah, I'm going to put up a little message at some point, either on the... Well, I'll have to sign out, I suppose, but out of the Twitter, just thanking everyone. But
whilst right, do you remember the Instagram password?
No, not a clue. But I reckon I can have it if we have it reset. We'll be able to get it to an email address. But no, I don't remember the Instagram password. I'll just keep that for me. I'll just keep that for me now. But yeah, I don't want to linger too long on it because I guess we'll touch on it again towards the end of the show. But yeah, that was sort of a tough decision to come to, and I thoroughly enjoyed being involved and all the people that I've met and all the things that we've done and what the podcast has become. But sometimes life takes you in a different direction, and I want to be fair to everyone, including myself and you and the listeners, and I think this is probably the best decision in order to achieve that.
Okay.
Fairness. So...
Yeah, well, this bombshell landed only a few days ago for me, so I'm still dealing with it, Tom.
I'm gonna start an anonymous Twitter feed called Real Dad, and still be involved.
But yeah, so obviously it's sad news for the show that we have to move on, but everything has to change and evolve, I guess. In terms of the show, I want to keep going, but I really don't have a clue in how I'm gonna do that at the moment. I only know how to make this show, how we make this show, because I have got no real technical know-how and that sort of stuff. So we've kind of fudged along for 4 years so far, haven't we? So I'm going to probably have to figure out how I want to do this, because I don't want to be doing a one-man, one-voice show. I don't think that's entertaining enough for people, really, especially with the wide range of competing podcast that seems to grow at the moment. There's way more around than when we started 4 years ago, isn't there? There's nothing that quite does what we do, but there's a lot more around. So it gets boring, just my voice. My plan at the moment is to look for maybe getting a sort of panel of guest hosts that can rotate through the year. So if anyone's interested in being involved, send me an email to superleaguepod@gmail.com. And we can figure things out. If you've got technical know-how and knowledge, that would be an absolute bonus. So I'm going to take probably a few weeks off here now to try and figure out. This show was already prepped and planned and stuff by the time you came to the decision, so it's only fair for everyone that we do this show, and plus we enjoy this show.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then going forward, I won't be doing a show for at least a fortnight. If Leeds happen to beat Melbourne in the World Club Challenge, I'll definitely try and do some sort of special and get one of our Leeds fans on board for that show. But otherwise, I wouldn't be intending to be back in the month of February. And in that time, if anyone is interested in being involved as a guest host or even wants to be a permanent co-host if that's how it falls, then get in touch with me, superleaguepod@gmail.com, and let's hope we can keep this thing going, because during the off season we've had a wonderful new logo provided by Mark Wilkinson, and some new music that you'll have heard for the first time just before from Rich Wilkinson, not related.
We've got some lovely car stickers to give away as well.
Yeah, a ton of old branded car stickers to give away. Basically, what I think I'll do is, if anyone wants any of those, and you're going to be at a game that I'm going to be at, hit me up and I'll just give them you. That's the way I'd go with that.
There you go. Will you be putting one in the back of your car?
Well, probably.
There you go.
We'll see how we go. My car passed its MOT today. It was a bit of a worry.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's quite the achievement, isn't it?
Well, it was in a bad way when I went to the garage on Friday to get something fixed up.
Right.
And then I said, look, before I spend the money on this, let's do my MOT on Monday. Because that was like into the last month then of the last 12 months. Like, basically Friday I couldn't have the MOT done, but Monday I could, and still get your extra month carryover.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's what I did, and it passed,
celebration,
thankfully. But it did mean that I wasn't able to go to Swinton against Wigan yesterday.
Well, I actually have seen some live rugby league in 2018 as well. I went over to Odsal on Friday night.
So you're giving up this match? After we finally got to a fucking Bradford game for the first time in 2 years.
I saw us nilled, Mark, alright? I think I'm fucking done with rugby league. There's a Bradford City suit would be doing alright. I might go back to football. Yeah, so, yeah, there you go.
Right, yeah.
It was a dire night.
Well, there you go. I've watched a lot of games on Wigan TV, so I've managed to do so in the.
Well, you're a television, an internet television sensation these days.
Well, I've had a couple of appearances, guest appearances,
and acquitted yourself marvellously, I think, as well.
On Wigan Fan TV, if no one's noticed this pop up on our feed, Sean over there is kind of pushing his blog into a new realm. He's doing video stuff, turning it into a podcast. I think some of the episodes. So I'm guessing I'm going to be involved with that throughout the year, here and there. So that should be fun.
Absolutely.
But yeah. Shall we move on to this exciting 2018's prediction show, because we are buzzing to do it. So, the structure of the show, we're going to do the headline predictions as a section first, with all the winners and who people think are going to be the winners and that sort of stuff of the cup, the grand final, etc. Then we're going to do a team-by-team preview. We're going to try and time in at 5 minutes a team between us, brief notes maybe, and then go through the fan comments for each team. Not everyone who did predictions left something a bit for their particular team, but most people did. So we'll go through all those. Yeah. Some of those will be fun, I'm sure, and then we will finish with our.
Say what?
What was that, Tom?
I say what?
Predictions, kind of silly predictions. I say we. I've picked out the ones that I think are probably the best.
Yes.
Rather than go through what we had in the end of these, which was in triple figures, I think. And I'll put all the rest up on a blog.
Sounds like
basically. Because a lot of them were what people just wanted to have a go at the RFL for, or wanted to pick teams they don't like finishing in positions they'll find funny. Which I didn't kind of think they'd be interesting for the show, but you might want to go and check those out anyway.
Might be good for a few yucks.
Yeah. So, without further ado, shall we move on to the listener predictions?
Yes. Okay, so listener predictions then. We got you to tell us who you thought were going to win the Challenge Cup, Grand Final, Man of Steel, and who would be promoted and relegated out of the Championship and League One, didn't we, Mark?
Yeah, we did. Obviously, there's a caveat around all of the promotion relegation stuff that we don't really know what the structure is going to be next year. Why someone can't say, hold on, let's keep it as is for another year, seeing as we've not made any progress, is baffling, but that's the state of play. So there's a caveat around all those things, but we're pretending that it's going to be as is in a way.
Maintain the status quo, exactly.
Yeah. And we'll start with the Challenge Cup, which was the first one we asked for. Now, this was relatively tightly contested, Tom, but came out on front with a quarter of all the votes cast, 25% of them St Helens.
Yeah, not necessarily a surprising one, I think, given the way that a lot of people's predictions are going for the season, and with the way the squad's shaping up at St Helens, I think they're going to be challenging on all fronts. But it's a tough one to pick a cup winner, isn't it, this early in the season? And there's a great deal of rugby league to be played, so I think that's probably why Hull FC were fairly close behind them and Castleford were as far behind them again.
Yeah, Hull FC.
It's a tricky one, isn't
Hull FC had 20% of the votes. I'll give Hull FC fans credit. More Hull FC fans voted than any other side. Leeds and Wigan just behind them in that count. But that kind of helped their positioning in all these rankings. Castleford Tigers in third place with 17%. The Toronto Wolfpack were the only team outside the Championship to get a vote.
Right.
Outside the Super League to get a vote. A couple of teams in the Super League didn't get any. I'll put all this up on a blog as well with the full results. But yeah, 37% of voters, interestingly, Tom, chose their own team to win.
Including you, I expect.
No, I went for Castleford Tigers in the Challenge Cup this year.
Okay.
I do feel like this team needs to win something, and having experienced disappointment in a couple of finals. They've got a high quality front end squad.
Yeah.
And a little bit of depth. But high quality front end squad, and in cup games, get all those people on the field. They can beat any team.
Yeah,
this Castleford team. So I'm going to tip them to win the Challenge Cup and lift that elusive, get that elusive final victory. Because obviously they won some silverware last year, but that was over the course of the season. This is more dealing with that pressure on the big day.
Yeah,
a lot of the players have learnt from last year and from the World Cup and from some of them were still around for 4 years ago, was it, when they lost to Leeds?
Yeah.
So I'm going with the Castleford Tigers, so I was part of that 17%. How about yourself?
I'm going for your Wigan Warriors, Mark, to win the cup. You just get a feeling in your water. I was looking over the squads in preparation for this, and I think a lot of people are going to underestimate Wigan across the piece this season. And I don't think they're necessarily going to have their greatest ever league campaign, but I do feel that looking at that group of players, if you get the right personnel out on the field on one-off occasions, Wigan have got a lot of historical muscle memory. I think that it's going to be one of the, inverted commas, classic teams that goes on to lift the trophy, so I've plumped for your boys.
Right, there you go. Well, in the grand final, Tom, the winner, as predicted by our listeners and voters, is, again, St Helens. Yeah. This time with an impressively high 47% of the votes. That's a huge amount of the votes there. Hull FC came in second with 18%. Leeds Rhinos in third with 12% of the votes. I'd note this time 43% of voters chose their own team, and I jumped to that quicker this time because I'm amongst that number.
There you go. Fair enough.
This particular trophy, because I think Wigan can win the grand final. We've been to plenty of grand finals in recent years, so we've done the journey, and what is it like? 4 of the last 5. Last year was the first time in 4. First time that the Super League pod's been done without us getting to the grand final. So I think there's plenty of players in that side. If that side
don't know how to get to a grand final. It's knowing how to win one.
If that side can stay fit, they are the same side that were favourites. Pretty much the same personnel with a couple of changes that we'll get to later on. That were favourites to win everything last year. And so if that side can stay fit, play to the full potential, I'm confident as a Wigan fan. A little bit, heart over head in that prediction. I think but why not? So I think I did all last year.
It's the beginning of the season. It's if you're going to have heart over head, I think now's the time. I think St Helens. I'm just very, very impressed by that squad 1 to 17 at St Helens, and I think
plus 23.
Yeah, exactly. Plus several others.
No, just one other, really. 23.
Well, maybe from your point of view. I don't know. I'm not the biggest St Helens fan in the world, so it takes a lot for me to start backing them and bigging them up. But I feel like there was a groundswell at St Helens towards the back end of last season that they narrowly missed out on a grand final, and I think they're on that upward trajectory. And I think and obviously they've kept a lot of key personnel at the squad through the off season. So low turnover means a stable club, which means for me, going in the right direction. So I've plumped for St Helens to be the grand final winners.
Well, you're in the majority. Well, not quite the majority, but you're in the biggest group there. So we'll see how that pans out. But certainly, with all this Saints love in the first two awards, it's no shock how our Man of Steel voting turned out. So, the top three, in reverse order, let's go this time. James Roby with 12% of the votes, Ben Barber with 16% of the votes, and Alex Walmsley with 17% of the votes. So, all three were Saints.